Imagine a people whose footsteps echo across the vast plains of Eastern Europe, whose languages resonate from the Baltic to the Balkans, and whose origins have puzzled scholars for centuries. The Slavs, numbering over 300 million strong in their linguistic descendants, represent one of Europe's most expansive ethnic and cultural groups. Yet beneath this sprawling presence lies a history veiled in enigma, with tales of migration and settlement long debated by historians and archaeologists. Recent advancements in genetic science have begun to unravel this mystery, offering a window into the ancient ancestry of the Slavs that challenges conventional narratives. Through the lens of DNA extracted from both modern populations and the bones of their forebears, we can now trace a lineage that stretches back thousands of years, revealing a story of steppe nomads, early farmers, and complex admixtures. The historical backdrop of the Slavs has traditionally been pieced together from fragmented records, linguistic clues, and archaeological remains. Scholars have long posited that the Slavic homeland emerged somewhere in the region of modern-day Ukraine or Poland, a cradle from which they radiated outward around the 6th century CE. This period, marked by the decline of Roman authority and the westward shift of Germanic tribes, provided fertile ground for Slavic expansion as they filled the spaces left behind. Two competing theories have dominated the discourse. One envisions a swift migration, with Slavic groups physically relocating en masse to new territories, either displacing or absorbing local inhabitants. The other suggests a more gradual process of cultural diffusion, where indigenous peoples adopted Slavic languages and traditions without significant genetic upheaval. The paucity of written evidence from this formative era has fueled these debates, leaving historians to wrestle with questions of timing, scale, and mechanism, questions that genetic research is now poised to address with unprecedented clarity. Genetic science has emerged as a transformative tool in the study of human history, offering a means to peer beyond the limits of texts and artifacts. By analyzing DNA from both living individuals and ancient remains, researchers can reconstruct the movements and interactions of past populations with remarkable precision. This approach hinges on three distinct genetic markers: Y chromosome DNA inherited paternally and tracing male lineages, mitochondrial DNA passed down maternally and illuminating female ancestry, and autosomal DNA, which encompasses the full spectrum of an individual's genetic heritage from both parents. Together, these elements provide a multifaceted view of a population's past, revealing not only where their ancestors came from, but also how they mingled with others over time. For the Slavs, whose early history is sparsely documented, this methodology has proven invaluable, shedding light on their origins in ways that traditional scholarship alone could not achieve. The roots of the Slavic genetic story reach deep into the Bronze Age, to a group of nomadic pastoralists known as the Yamnaya culture. Flourishing around 5,000 years ago on the Pontic-Caspian steppe, north of the Black Sea, the Yamnaya are widely regarded as early bearers of Indo-European languages. Their westward expansion introduced a distinctive genetic signature, termed steppe ancestry, into Europe, a legacy that persists in modern populations across the continent. Closely related to this movement is the corded ware culture, which arose around 2900 BCE in Central Europe and shares a strong genetic resemblance to the Yamnaya. This culture is seen as a pivotal link in the dissemination of steppe ancestry and Indo-European tongues, with archaeological and genetic evidence pointing to its influence on later European groups, including those who would eventually become the Slavs. Research from institutions like Harvard Medical School has underscored these connections, demonstrating how the Yamnaya and corded ware cultures laid the groundwork for the genetic profile observed in Slavic populations today. In the genomes of modern Slavs, this ancient steppe heritage is most vividly expressed through the Y chromosome haplogroup R1a, a marker tied to the Indo-European expansions of millennia past. Among Poles, roughly 55% of men carry this haplogroup, while in Russians and Ukrainians the figures are approximately 45% and 50% respectively. Specific subclades of R1a, such as R1a M458 in West Slavs and R1a Z280 in East Slavs, hint at early divergences within the Slavic population, reflecting their spread across distinct regions. On the maternal side, mitochondrial DNA reveals a different story, with haplogroups like H, U, J, T, and K dominating, lineages common across Europe and indicative of a deep connection to the continent's pre-steppe inhabitants.
Autosomal DNA, meanwhile, paints a composite picture showing that modern Slavs are a blend of steppe ancestry and the genetic contributions of early European farmers, with the latter component growing more pronounced in southern Slavic groups. This duality, stepfathers and European mothers, defines the genetic identity of the Slavs, a fusion of origins that speaks to their complex history.
This genetic narrative varies across the Slavic world, with East, West, and South Slavs each bearing distinct signatures shaped by geography and historical encounters. East Slavs, Russians, Belarusians, and Ukrainians show a close genetic affinity with Baltic populations, sharing elevated levels of R1A and similar autosomal profiles that suggest a common origin near the Baltic Sea or the upper Dnieper River. In northern Russia, additional traces of Finnic and Uralic ancestry emerge, a testament to interactions with neighboring peoples in the forested expanses of the northeast. West Slavs, including Poles, Czechs, and Slovaks, occupy a genetic middle ground, blending Slavic steppe ancestry with influences from Germanic neighbors, as seen in their high frequency of R1A M458 and subtle shifts in autosomal DNA. South Slavs, Serbs, Croats, Bulgarians, and others, present a more intricate mosaic reflecting their position in the Balkans, a melting pot of European and Mediterranean strains. Recent studies have sharpened our understanding of these patterns, offering concrete data to anchor the Slavic genetic story. In East Central Europe, a 2023 study published in Genome Biology by Stolarek and colleagues examined 474 individuals from Poland, spanning the Iron Age wheelbark culture and the medieval age. The results showed a striking increase in R1A frequency, from 8.6% in the Iron Age to 57.5% in the medieval period, alongside genetic continuity between these eras, with the later population aligning closely with modern Slavs. This suggests a male-driven infusion of steppe ancestry over time rather than a sudden 6th century migration reshaping our view of Slavic emergence in the region. In the Balkans, a study from the University of the Basque Country analyzed 146 ancient genomes from Croatia and Serbia, estimating that Slavic ancestry accounts for 30% to 60% of modern Balkan DNA, higher in Serbia, 50-60%, and lower in Greece, 30-40%. The presence of both male and female Slavic markers points to family-based migration rather than a purely militaristic incursion, offering a more nuanced perspective on how Slavic influence took root in the South. These findings carry surprises that upend long-standing assumptions. The genetic continuity in East Central Europe implies that the Slavic genetic profile was already taking shape by the Iron Age, with steppe ancestry present well before the traditionally cited 6th century expansion. This challenges the notion of a late, distinct Slavic arrival, suggesting instead a gradual evolution tied to earlier Indo-European movements. In the Balkans, the variable extent of Slavic contribution, coupled with evidence of family migration, paints a picture of integration rather than conquest, with local populations blending with newcomers to varying degrees. The diversity among Slavic groups further complicates the story. North Russians bear Finnic traces, South Slavs carry Balkan imprints, and West Slavs reflect Germanic proximity. Far from a uniform entity, the Slavs emerge as a genetically heterogeneous people, their shared linguistic and cultural identity overlaying a rich mosaic of ancestral threads. The genetic origins of the Slavs, as revealed by these studies, are a tapestry of ancient migrations and local encounters woven together over millennia. From the Yamnaya steppe nomads and corded ware settlers came a paternal legacy of Indo-European ancestry, marked by the R1A haplogroup and carried forward into the Slavic genome. Yet this steppe inheritance melds with the maternal and autosomal contributions of Europe's earlier inhabitants, creating a hybrid identity that varies by region. The continuity in East Central Europe and the uneven Slavic imprint in the Balkans highlight the complexity of this process, urging a reconsideration of historical timelines and mechanisms. As genetic research progresses, it promises to deepen our grasp of these dynamics, illuminating the intricate interplay of migration, admixture, and adaptation that shaped the Slavs, and by extension the broader history of Europe. For those captivated by this journey through time and DNA, the story of the Slavs is but one chapter in the vast saga of human ancestry. If you've enjoyed this exploration of their genetic origins, subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analyses of genetic history and population dynamics